So this episode's going to hit a little differently today. And I know that gets said sometimes, but this one is kind of personal in a weird way. So you see, one of my best friends has firsthand experience with this case. I'm not talking secondhand, not he knew someone who knew someone. I'm saying he lived just a few houses down from the biggest mass shooter in Brevard County history. For a long time, his attack was the deadliest mass shooting in the state until later events surpassed it. His name was William Cruse Jr. Yeah, that guy. And here's where it gets wild. The week before the shooting, my friend, he's 6 years old at the time, is outside, just being a kid, and Cruz comes after him, chasing him, yelling, making obscene comments and gestures at a 6-year-old. So his dad obviously calls the police. They show up, talk to Cruz, and he admits to it, flat out admits it. You're thinking, all right, so that's it. He's getting arrested. Something's going to happen here. But no, the officer says, it's Saturday and it'll be hard to get a hold of the state attorney. Yeah, that's what he said. So I guess in 1987, they just paused law enforcement on the weekends. And I keep coming back to that because it's not just a detail. It's one of those moments that make you wonder how close this thing was to going a completely different way. But it didn't. So let's get into it. It's Thursday, April 23rd, 1987 in Palm Bay, Florida. A sticky evening, sun's dropping low, and that orange glow goes across everything. You know exactly what that looks like if you lived in Florida. Kids are outside bouncing a basketball, someone's grilling. It's calm and normal. But in just a few hours, this place turns into a friggin' nightmare. 6 people dead, 14 wounded. 2 of those 6 are police officers, and it all starts over something small. So let's talk about Cruz for a second, because this isn't random. It never is. He's 59. He's a retired librarian. He moved to Palm Bay from Kentucky in '85 with his wife, who's battling Parkinson's. And on paper, that sounds like a quiet life. But then you hear from neighbors. Ornery. That word keeps coming up, which, let's be honest, is usually code for this guy's a fucking problem. He's yelling at kids. He's getting into it with people. At one point, even firing a gun into the air for no real apparent reason. Add in drinking, isolation, frustration building up, and you can almost feel it, like something's off. So around 6 p.m., 2 teenage boys are outside playing basketball. 14-year-old Johnny Rich and his friend. So Cruz comes out with the shotgun because he believes they'd been on his property earlier. He doesn't really escalate anything. From what it seems, he just opens fire. He shoots Johnny in the back, and Johnny drops to the ground. And I'll pause for a second because this could have been the end of it. You know, it's still awful. It's still tragic, but it could have stopped, but it doesn't. So, Johnny does, in fact, end up surviving being shot in the back, but Cruz goes inside, grabs more weapons, a Mini 14 rifle, a revolver, and, of course, he still has his shotgun, and he loads up his vehicle. And see, right there, that's the shift. This isn't like just anger. He's not just pissed off at the kids. You know, at this point, this becomes intent. He gets in his car, and he drives toward the Palm Bay Shopping Center. Now, picture that area back then. It's not flashy. It's not chaotic. You know, this isn't Miami Vice shit. You know, it's just normal life. Publix, Winn-Dixie, people running errands. And then Cruz pulls in. He steps out and just starts barking off that Mini 14 rifle. There's no warning, no target, just complete chaos. 2 young men go down almost immediately, Nabil Al-Hameli and Enud Al-Tawakkuli. And then Ruth Green, 67 years old, gets caught in the crossfire. So people are running, they're diving behind cars, they're screaming, and he just keeps moving. And I think that's what is one of the sickest parts, is that according to witnesses, he's not panicking, he's not reacting. He's just moving with purpose. Like, he already decided that tonight is the night where everybody fucking pays and I'm the Grim Reaper. So after shooting up the Publix, he walks across the street to the Winn-Dixie and starts shooting. People are abandoning carts. They're running through aisles and trying to get out. And he just keeps shooting. Lester Watson is probably getting some milk or something, and he gets shot and killed. And then police arrive. Officers Ronald Grogan and Gerald Johnson respond. They know that something's wrong, but not fully aware of what they're walking into. But bravely, they go in it anyway. And Cruse ambushes them. Both officers are killed. And that's the part that makes them heroes, because they ran toward it while everybody else was trying to get away. So now we're up to 6 people dead now and 14 wounded. Now it turns into a standoff. SWAT surrounds the store, helicopters are overhead, lights are all over the place. And somehow, after all that chaos, it just kind of slows down. Cruse takes a hostage. It's one of the Winn-Dixie workers. He starts negotiating. He's ranting. He's talking about the kids and about his life and about everything that's been building up. And you kind of start wondering, like, was this always in him, or did something just like finally snap? But either way, the damage is already done. Hours tick by with these negotiations. And finally, after 1 a.m. on April 24th, the tear gas goes in and flashbangs. And just like that, he surrenders. No dramatic ending, no final shootout. He just gives up. And, in some ways, that almost makes it worse to me, because there's no closure in that moment. There's just, the aftermath. And this coward who shot all these innocent people gets to go to prison. He gets convicted. He gets multiple life sentences, and including the death penalty as well. He sits on death row for about 22 years, and then in 2009, he dies of natural causes. No execution, no final moment of justice, just gone. I keep circling back to my friend, because for him, this wasn't just something on the news, This was the scary guy down the street. This is the guy who chased him. And this is, let's be honest, this is a guy police knew about days before this happened, before the shooting, And get this, after everything, Cruse's wife actually stayed at my friend's house for about a week while the family came to get her. I mean, that's pretty wild in itself. And maybe even crazier, my friend had William Cruse's high school diploma from Kentucky for years. Like, that's how close all this was. I had this episode fully written already, but I decided last minute to text my buddy and ask him what he remembered. And, I'm so glad that I did, because it changed everything. It made this real in ways that you don't always get from reports and timelines, and it leaves you with that question. If he had been arrested that weekend, what happens? If he'd been arrested when he was chasing my friend, does this mass shooting still play out? Does it stop, or does it just shift? Would he have retaliated against my friend's family if they'd locked him up? There's really no clear answer. And I think that's what makes this one stick. This is why I do True Crime Unchained, because some of the scariest stories aren't the ones far away. They're the ones that were, literally right next door in this case. I'm Tim, and if this one struck with you, especially if you're from Palm Bay and you remember this, share it, send it to your true crime crew, drop a comment down below, Next episode, we're heading to Melbourne, Florida, right next door from Palm Bay, for the acid bath murder. Yeah, that one's a lot. So stay aware out there. And filming from Southwest Florida, I'm Tim. Peace.